It is July 14th. It is time for the Greg Cherry Show. It is another Wednesday evening. I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. We've got a lot to cover, so thank you very much for tuning in. On today's show, we're going to get right into it. We're bringing back some wrestling discussion. I know that's why a lot of you guys watch me for the wrestling content. It's time that we had some more on here. It's been a while. So we're going to talk about some wrestling because it's a big week as far as professional wrestling goes, because the WWE is bringing their fans back starting on Friday and then into Money in the Bank and then on Raw. We're going to preview this week's episode of Jack of All Trades very briefly. I hope you guys can tune into that because that has been a lot of fun as well. As you saw last week, or if you didn't see last week, another incredible match, another one coming to you tomorrow. Yes, not Friday, tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern. Switching up from the weird laws, we got some weird thoughts it's just things that don't really make sense unless you think about them. Or maybe they do make sense if you think about them. I'll leave that for you to decide. And of course, as always, Wednesday Q&A. Now, the wrestling discussion that we're going to be going over, and yes, as you see on the bottom of the screen, you can donate to the show if you so choose, $5 for a wheel spin. And I've added the new option because it was brought up on the show a couple weeks ago. How much would it cost to challenge me on a future episode of WTC for the WTC Championship? And I straight up said, $100 on the Greg Cherry Show. You got a shot. We'll see if anybody takes that up. But Money in the Bank is coming up this week, and it'll be nice to... I don't know if it's a full-time thing because they only announced a limited tour schedule, but I think it'll start to get back into the swing of things, of feeling real. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to return to the Thunderdome after their live touring's over or what the plan is. This is supposed to be the return of fans, but again, it's only like a limited time thing. But I find it weird that they started with SmackDown. It's like, why wouldn't you just save it for your event? Why wouldn't you save it for Money in the Bank? You saved fans for WrestleMania, which was a big deal. Why wouldn't you save fans again for arguably one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year? Money in the Bank is very important, despite some of the past few winners. The last real winner that had any impact and had any long-term success after cashing in, Bayley. You could argue Brock, but Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar, so does he really need the build? Who exactly do you think wins Money in the Bank? This is a stacked card, and I kind of want to take a look at the card because these are rather unofficial predictions. But as the card stands right now, you got the men's Money in the Bank, you've got the women's Money in the Bank, along with a couple title matches. So, very briefly, I'm going to glance over the card and tell you who I think is going to win. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair is one of the matches listed. This feud, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's how both women are booked, but it's been an ugly feud. And not ugly in a good way. Not ugly like they've beaten the crap out of each other and they're bloody or whatever the case may be. It's just been not a great feud. And to be honest, and I've said this a lot, and it's a very unpopular opinion, I didn't care for the WrestleMania match last year. I don't know what it is about Charlotte and Rhea when they face each other. I just can't get into it. I couldn't even get into the triple threat with Io, where Io won the title. I don't know why Ripley and Charlotte. It's another case of two talented people that just don't have the chemistry with each other. I mean, you look at the matches that AJ Styles and Kevin Owens had. For some reason, they just didn't click, and they're two of the best to do it. It's probably one of those things. I don't remember who I picked. I think I feel like I did some kind of like mock prediction or something where I said that Charlotte was going to win the championship. And you know, I'm gonna stick with it for now. Again, unofficial predictions. I feel like they're probably going to give the title to Charlotte. I hope, for the sake of everybody involved, that they don't cash in a Money in the Bank the same night. They have beat that to death. Kane's done it. Bliss has done it. Ambrose has done it. And Bayley's done it. And Asuka was 24 hours after, but that was because Becky got pregnant. So I hope they don't do the whole, hey, Charlotte wins the title again, and then they make her lose it so she can get the 16 faster. It's like, don't stop it. She's already at 13. Do you really need to expedite that process? I'm picking Charlotte. I don't want her to win. I don't want her to win another time. I want her to be in a good feud. Like, I want her to be in a blood feud that does not involve a championship. I think that's my biggest problem with Charlotte's creative. She always has to be chasing a championship. Always. Like that, like there's nothing else for her. Like a just random match, like a blood feud or anything like that, doesn't matter. Always has to be for a championship. That's maddening. When that's all you do, it gets boring. Like, why doesn't somebody like piss Charlotte off to the point of like, I don't care about championships, I don't care about any of this, I just want to beat the crap out of her. You know, like, why doesn't Charlotte have a feud like that? She needs a feud. Speaking of the women's Money in the Bank, let's talk about that next. There's still somebody yet to be announced for the Money in the Bank. We don't know if we're going to find that out Friday on SmackDown. If somebody's going to get beat up and taken out of the match like Brock did to Sami Zayn a couple years ago, we don't know. This one is still up in the air. The sentimental favorite would be Liv Morgan. Honestly. Asuka's not going to win. Naomi would be a nice surprise. Bliss has already won. Nikki Cross, Nikki Ash, whatever her name is. That would be cool. Zelina Vega coming back and winning would be spectacular and really unexpected. And you have to consider who's going to be that last participant in. Some people are saying Becky Lynch. Some people are saying Sasha Banks. Some people are even saying Sonya Deville. Like, there's a whole bunch of names being thrown around. Some people even said Doudrop, but she's on Raw. Like, you need the fourth person to be a SmackDown person. That's kind of how that works. And Becky is technically a free agent, so she doesn't fall into that category. This is the hardest one to predict because I feel like I would love for it to be Sasha. Just to have Sasha Belair again, because I love that match at WrestleMania, and I would love to see it again at SummerSlam. But if they have Becky return, does she go after Rhea or Charlotte, or what does she do? Does she go back after the championship that she technically never lost? Or does she go to SmackDown in the draft? I mean, the draft isn't until after SummerSlam, but it makes you wonder. Maybe she takes the Money in the Bank briefcase with her. This one is so hard to predict. And yet, I see a couple of you saying Mia Yim. I feel like giving the spot to Mia Yim, especially when people are building it up for Sasha, Becky, or Sonya. Mia Yim has not done enough on the main roster to, in my eyes, get that spot. I don't think the crowd will. I feel like the crowd will be disappointed if it's Mia Yim. And again, that's not a knock to Mia or her talent, because she's incredibly talented. It's just she, as far as the main roster goes, does not have the status of a Sasha Banks, a Becky Lynch, even a Sonya Deville. She just doesn't. That's the way it is. They're not going to give that spot to me again. If they do it on SmackDown, that's one thing. But if they wait until Money in the Bank, it's not going to me again. Period. End. It's just not. Of the announced participants, I would like to see Liv Morgan, but I feel like it's going to be whoever the last person is entered into the match. I'll probably have, again, Shotzi and Tegan Nox, too fresh to the main roster. Wouldn't make sense. Sean Garner's asking, when you say sentimental favorite, what do you mean by that? Somebody who it would be very emotional for them to win. Like, it's a big deal. Like, they're a huge underdog. Nobody expects them to win. And it would be a career, not resurgence, but like a career builder. Like a building block moment. Like, she needs the Money in the Bank briefcase to get that championship shot she's always wanted. And so everybody would be happy if Liv Morgan won because she's been working her butt off. She's gone through the Riot Squad breakup, the Riot Squad getting released, some not so great storylines, and she has fought her way, and people are thinking she might deserve it. So the Money in the Bank matches are so hard to predict because, and it's a good thing. I think that's why it's kind of up there with the status of the top 5 pay-per-views. They aren't predictable. I mean, you can say, oh, well, they could go this way, they could go this way. But you really don't know. Did anybody predict Otis to win last year? Granted, terrible run with a briefcase. Absolutely terrible. Probably one of the worst in the history of the briefcase. It might even eclipse Mr. Kennedy's for being bad. But it is just... They're going to have legit, and that's not a Sasha clue, they're going to have legit people win Money in the Bank to get those spots. And since we're talking about Money in the Bank, I might as well talk about the men's match, which is Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, or Seth Rollins. Seth isn't going to win. McIntyre's not going to win. The other 6, I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't feel like it'll be Ricochet. I mean, look at Ricochet's last World Championship match against Brock Lesnar. He got destroyed in less than 2 minutes. So Big E is a lot of people's pick. I would like to pick Big E too, but for some reason, I don't feel like they're going to go that direction. I would like to see a Kevin Owens run with a briefcase. I've also thought Riddle too, strangely enough. I would love to see a Big E run, but you don't know what direction they're going to go. You really don't. The WWE Championship match, Bobby Lashley versus Kofi Kingston. This is a very interesting match. I love what they're doing. I feel like they're building Woods up. And I love to see it because I have been a proponent of Xavier Woods getting a legitimate shot to show that he is a main event type guy. And Xavier Woods getting that push, granted, Kofi's getting the match, but Woods getting the pin on Lashley on Raw, big deal. And I'm not saying, oh, big deal. That's not. It legitimately is a big deal. That is a big deal. It's awesome. I can't say enough good things about Xavier Woods. But I feel like that ending promo on Raw from Lashley is going to turn him into this monster that might destroy Kofi on Sunday. So I know a lot of people have talked about the scenario of Kofi regaining the championship just for Big E to cash in on him. I don't think that's going to happen. The New Day triple threat, guys, I don't think it's going to happen. And I've always proposed the scenario of the New Day being the final three in a Royal Rumble match and celebrating with each other after the fact, even when, one of them had to eliminate the other two. So I don't see Kofi winning the title. I see Lashley retaining here and doing that. And then you have Roman Reigns and Edge. And I noticed this, actually, before I talk about that, I've noticed this doesn't include the SmackDown Women's Championship with Bianca Belair and Carmella. Belair's retaining. There's not a whole lot to talk about that. Bianca Belair's retaining. Carmella wasn't even supposed to be in the match initially. And because Bayley got injured, and Bayley wasn't going to beat Bianca anyway. So I'm thinking Bianca's going to retain over Carmella. It'll be a decent match, but yeah, Bianca's going to win. Roman Reigns versus Edge for the Universal Championship. This will probably main event the show. And I said Seth Rollins was not going to win Money in the Bank, so he's going to freak out about that. And I feel like he's going to cost Edge this match. Not to help Roman, not for a Shield reunion or anything, just because him and Edge have not been seeing eye to eye. And since Edge got the shot at the Universal title before him, he's going to be upset. So Roman Reigns is going to retain because of Rollins interfering. What do you guys think? I mean, the only matches I feel like are super hard to predict are the Money in the Bank ladder matches and the Raw Women's title match, because that could really go either direction. Other than that, I'm pretty solid on my picks. All right. Now, as I talked about before, we are partway through the Jack of All Trades tournaments. If you've caught the last couple episodes right here on the Greg Cherry brand, and if you're not watching on the Greg Cherry brand, please go subscribe over there so you can see the episodes of Jack of All Trades that I'm talking about. We've had a couple great episodes. We've had WFLA reporter Daisy Ruth qualify, and last week we had Wrestle Talk's Andy Datson qualify for the championship match. So those two will be there, as will one of these gentlemen. Let me pull up the graphic. I know I have it. Here it is. Oh, that's just the post-show one. I don't have the actual one pulled up because I know what I'm doing. But it's going to be a good episode. The four of these guys were absolutely great. The rounds that were played, I'll tell you what, you're in for some interesting stuff. So here we go. From left to right, I will take the banner off the screen. We have Adam Pearson as a guest, which I am super excited about. He is such a great guy and did that on such short notice. He only had about a half an hour notice before we started recording, and he did very well. And I want to know, do you think he did well enough to win the match? He's a brilliant mind. But we'll see if he can survive the Jack of All Trades. Beside him, podcast host, also New York Mets personality, Mike Janela. You might have seen him on the $100,000 pyramid at one point. He's very well versed in the entertainment industry. Does the Living the Damn Dream podcast for the time being with Sarah Priebus. So he was another great guest. And there you see K-Zone right beside Mike. K-Zone was in the WWE Stump the Bump trivia contest. He will be a participant. And of course, the dude, Andrew Hayes, who was in the WTC tournaments over the winter, he, from Combat Wrestling Trivia, will also be joining the show. And I'm looking forward to that. What a group of guys that was. What an absolute fantastic group of people that was. So I hope you check that out. That is tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern, right here exclusively. You will not see it on any other network. It's exclusively on the Greg Cherry brand. If you like watching Quizlemania, you will enjoy the Jack of All Trades. That's how I'm promoting it, at least. All right, on to our next segment. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody's donations for a possible wheel spin. as I pull up our next segment, which is we're going to do some weird thoughts. What weird thoughts could possibly be out in the universe? Well, these are things that you really have to think about and say, hey, that is weird. Why is it that way? But that's just the way it is. So here we go. Here's some weird thoughts. And again, feel free to donate to the channel if you so choose. If you do get a wheel spin and you get something that I have to do, which I can show you that real briefly in case you've missed it. Here we are. Take me off screen. There's the wheel. You can have me do any of these things for $5 that you so choose. And if it interrupts the segment, that's perfectly fine. I give you what you want. If you want to see me sing, do a wrestler's entrance, do some dancing, cut a promo on whatever you want me to cut a promo on, feel free to do that. Again, the link is in the description. It should be the pinned comment for the Great Cherry brand. If you need that link, let me know, and I will give that to you. All right. But now we're going to go into some weird thoughts. So here's a weird thought. Why isn't phonetic spelled the way that it sounds? It makes sense because, phonics is all about sounds of words and stuff. So why is that so weird? Here's another good question. Why are there interstate highways in Hawaii? It's a good question because it's broken up islands. How are you exactly going to go interstate unless you have a tunnel that goes underneath the Pacific Ocean? Makes you wonder. Why are there flotation devices under plane seats instead of parachutes? Well, that is a weird thought, but I think that one's a little more rational, that flotation devices are because the plane looks to safely crash in the water. So that way you can float to the surface. Parachute, I don't know if you could on an airplane. I really don't know about that one. Why are cigarettes sold in gas stations when smoking is prohibited there? Well, gas stations, it makes sense. You don't want to light up a cigarette in front of a gas station and risk it exploding. At least I have some answers for these. Why do fat chance and slim chance mean the same thing? It's a good question. Now, why are your chances based on your body type? I feel like that's body shaming. It's body shaming, damn it. If you can't drink and drive, why do you need a driver's license to buy liquor? And why do bars have parking lots? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the driver's license to buy liquor is just to show that you're of age, but why do bars have parking lots? That is a good question. I mean, if you're going to drink, you should not be behind the wheel. Food for thought. Do you need a silencer if you're going to shoot a mime? Oh, my. Silencers for the gun, not for the freaking person you're shooting. But I'd imagine they'd make a noise. Have you ever imagined a world with no hypothetical situations? I'll leave you to stew on that one. This is something I've always wondered. How does the guy who drives the snowplow get to work in the mornings? I'm sure that's not a problem for the most part. And the last one on this page, if 7-Eleven is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, why are there locks on the doors? That's a good question, too. Why are there locks on the doors that's always open? It makes you wonder. I'm going to do a few more of those. I like those. Those are different. They're not exactly the state laws, but they're still good. Go to the next page of these. Hold on. If you're in a vehicle going the speed of light, what happens when you turn on the headlights? I feel like a comedian did that at one point. You know how most packages say open here? What is the protocol if the package says open somewhere else? Why do they put braille dots on the keypad of the drive-up ATM? I actually know somebody who's legally blind that drives, so that's not concerning at all. Why isn't palindrome spelled the same way backwards? You couldn't have thought of a different word other than palindrome to explain exactly what it is? Why is it that when you transport something by car, it's called a shipment, but when you transport something by ship, it's called cargo? Never really thought about that. Now I won't be able to sleep tonight because I'll be thinking about that. And you know that little indestructible black box that is used on planes? Why can't they make the whole plane out of that same substance? I've heard that one before, multiple times actually. All right, just taking a gander over at the Streamlabs. Gonna send the comment again because while I do the Q&A, if you guys want to, don't feel obligated. There you go. To donate or get a wheel spin, there's the link for you. All right, now I will be answering your questions. So we are going to get the Wednesday Q&A. If I get any donations during that time period, obviously I will take your wheel spin or your donation question ahead of time. So if you want your question answered or you want your spin before I answer some of these questions, feel free to do so. Would you rather see a potential Cena versus Roman Reigns match or Cena versus Bobby Lashley one? The thing with that, Mr. Yuck, is we've actually seen both of those matches. Granted, it's a different Bobby Lashley now. It's also a different Roman Reigns now than it was. So between the two of those, I would rather see Cena Reigns. And I would want to see Reigns win that one too. Because Cena shouldn't be the guy to break that. I think Reigns should keep the title till next WrestleMania, honestly. This guy experience, how hyped are you for Money in the Bank? I'm pretty hyped. I was excited for WrestleMania because they brought the fans back, and now that the fans are back again for Money in the Bank, I feel like it's going to be a good time. We'll kind of judge it by how the SmackDown crowd is, but I feel like Money in the Bank being the first major show back with fans is going to be a big experience. I feel like they got to go all out for that show, which is only 6 matches, but should be a good time. Let's see here. This guy say he's sadly broke, but I have a really good question for you to answer. Did you send it or? I didn't see it. Oh, here it is. If Money in the Bank was in the Attitude Era, who would you have win the first 2 Money in the Bank events? If they did a men's and a women's during the Attitude Era, first of all, I can't imagine the women in the Attitude Era doing that match. If we're going to talk about 99, I'd probably have Jacqueline win. Out of everybody that would compete in that, Jacqueline would make the most sense to win the Money in the Bank. For the men, like think about how many mid-card guys could have had that huge push with Money in the Bank. I feel like either Triple H, bring it over here. I feel like either Triple H or The Rock would probably be amongst the first to win the Money in the Bank if it happened then. If it happened like 98, 99, yeah, Triple H or The Rock. Because Austin wouldn't need it. Austin probably wouldn't do the ladder match. I know he did the one with Vince and Shane in 99, but other than that, I don't see him doing a Money in the Bank type ladder match. So yeah, Triple H and The Rock, and probably Jacqueline for the women. Let's see. Sean Garner says, what are your thoughts on Aaliyah being called up to the main roster and Mandy Rose going back to NXT? For Mandy, it could be a very good thing because it's another character change. Let's face it, after the whole Otis storyline and the pairing with Dana Brooke, it didn't do a whole lot for her. And that's not a knock to her. That's not a knock to Dana. It's just that the momentum was not there. I think one of the roughest things that happened to Mandy and Otis was the fact that storyline was kind of completed during the pandemic. If that would have been in front of an audience, they probably would have still been wildly over. But Mandy going back to NXT, I think will be a good thing. Aaliyah being called up to the main roster honestly could be the best thing for her. Because yes, she didn't do a whole lot as far as like rack up wins in NXT, but she could be one of those people that Vince just sees something in and straps the rocket to her. Because you realize a lot of the biggest stars that came out of NXT weren't champion. In fact, I would say that if you weren't champion in NXT and you got called up, it might be beneficial for you. Look at Alexa Bliss. 5-time women's champion, 2-time women's tag team champion. Never champion in NXT. Becky Lynch, winner of the main event of WrestleMania. Multi-time women's champion. Never a champion in NXT. I could say Baron Corbin, who was, yes, only United States champion and King of the Ring. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. Never won a title in NXT. I'm sure there's more examples than that, but you have to figure there's history behind people who did not have success in NXT. The Iconics. Granted, they're released now, but won the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania. Neither one of them were champion in NXT. It makes you wonder, like, is there some difference of getting over in NXT and getting over on the main roster? I don't know. So that actually might benefit both of them. All right. Jeff, first of all, says, I have a feeling you'll get your Reigns Cena match next month, but don't be surprised if the result is not what you want. You really think Cena is going to end Reigns' year-long reign and win his 17th title? Do you really think that's going to happen? I don't know. Do you think we'll get Edge and Cena on the SmackDown after Money in the Bank in Cleveland to make up for part of it being in Florida? I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I feel like they're going to have a match or two in Florida, but they'll probably also tape stuff beforehand or give you some dark matches or something to keep that crowd lively, because I feel like you have to have the main event in Cleveland and maybe just like Bianca and Mella for the women's title or something in Florida. I don't know what you do. I never cared for the multi-arena shows. It didn't work for Raw 25. It didn't really work for WrestleMania 2 because you figure, oh, we're only here for an hour, and then we have to watch the rest of it on the screen. Nobody enjoys that. I thought about Edge winning the Money in the Bank. But I know he was Intercontinental Champion in 99, but I don't think he would have been ready for the World Championship picture in the Attitude Era. I don't think it might have hindered him more than helped him. Cool Brothers Radio Podcast. How long are you going to be on today? Depends how many questions I get, and depends on if anybody wants to send me stuff to spin the wheel. I'm going to try to be on until at the latest 8 o'clock because Dynamite's back on Wednesdays. And I do want to say let's say 14th, so 21st, 28th, 4th. In 4 weeks' time, the Greg Cherry Show will not air on August 11th because I will be in Pittsburgh for AEW Dynamite. So, just a programming note. So I will not be able to do the show live from the arena, although that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm going to be enjoying some AEW in a few weeks. So just be prepared for that. This guy Experience says, two people I don't want to win Money in the Bank, Becky and Drew. I think people would be more of accepting of Becky Lynch winning the Money in the Bank because it means she's back. I don't think people want Drew to win because Drew has had his shots to become champion, and he lost the Hell in a Cell to Lashley, which is his last chance to get a title shot as long as Lashley's champion. So, yeah, I don't see Drew winning the Money in the Bank. I really don't. I know people said you wanted to give him that moment in front of fans. I feel like that moment's passed, at least for now. Drew can have some solid feuds and maybe work his way back to the WWE Championship. I don't think it needs to happen now because him and Lashley was pretty much done to death. The only time the multi-arena thing really worked was Starrcade 85 and 86 when they were both in the Southeast. Yeah, but you figure that those aired before I was born. 86 might not have, but 85 definitely. It's just a matter of like, I think back then it was a different time. Which, yes, it's only 35 years ago. But so much has evolved as far as people's ability to pay attention to things. You figure in the 80s, they were having hour-long matches every night. And now, like 20-minute matches are long matches. So, yeah, I know. Listen, Jeff, I'm not the NWA guy that you are. I'm not. Like, I'm obviously more WWE centered, and you're more classic NWA. But yeah, my point still stands. Sean says, when do you think we get Reigns versus Rock? And Jeff said we should get that WrestleMania Texas. There's no reason to do it before that. You can start the build at Survivor Series because they've talked about getting The Rock at Survivor Series specifically for his 25th anniversary of being in WWE. So yeah, I think you start the build at Survivor Series. You probably have a Raw guy win the Rumble. I wouldn't have The Rock win the Rumble. He doesn't need to win the Rumble. You could do the whole nobody wants to face Roman thing, and then The Rock comes out, and then they have their little family feud at Mania. This guy says, I want to see new world champions. I'm the only one in the world who felt that Becky is overhyped. Perhaps. I like Becky Lynch. She's not my favorite. And that's been well documented that Sasha Banks is my favorite. So I was very happy to see her get a WrestleMania main event. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some wheel spins. We got 2 wheel spins, actually, because we got a $10 donation from Cool Brothers Radio Podcast. And he says, I have a video idea. Do a top 100 wrestlers of all time. My goodness. That would have to be an incredibly collaborative effort. I feel like that would need to be like so much research. Top 100 wrestlers of all time, because that includes men and women. Like, where do you rank them? Wow. That would be quite the undertaking, because you would need to do so much research on their career, look at their best matches. Either way, you get 2 wheel spins, Cool Brothers. So, and you're also the reigning Greg Cherry Show champion, because you're the first one to donate, and it's over $5. So let me pull up the wheel, and we're going to get you your spins. So if you haven't seen it before, I've got to take the comment off the screen here. So you can see the wheel in all its glory. And we're going to go spin that wheel. See what comes up. You get 2 spins. So there you go. Come on, let's give them something good. Come on. I have 3 spots on the wheel for Bankrupt. I really need to take 2 of them off and replace them with something else. That's ridiculous. Karaoke. All right. I'm going to sing a karaoke song. You know what, Cool Brothers? I feel bad. I feel bad about the Bankrupt. So see if we can't get you something else. Top 5 list. All right. Top 5 lists and karaoke. So let me know what you want me to do a top 5 list of. I'm going to find a song to sing. And I'm going to hide. Yeah, I was looking at the Money in the Bank card. I don't know who you're talking to. All right. So, why did you retire the real wheel for the WWE virtual wheel? I still have the other wheel. It's just it's used for a round on Jack of All Trades now. So that's why I did it. Yeah, and I didn't want to drive my wife nuts by redoing this thing a fourth time. So I decided to do the virtual wheel because it's easier to set up, and I can change those out as much as I want. Much like I'm going to change the freaking 2 bankrupts on here. Or 2 of the bankrupts. I guess I can leave 1 up. But I don't need 3 bankrupts on there. Top 5 90s sitcoms. All right. I'll get you the list first while I am looking for the song to sing. Top 5 90s sitcoms in no particular order. I have to go with Friends. I really enjoyed watching Friends. Seinfeld has to be up there. 90s sitcoms. Like, you would think this would be like off the top of the head easy, but Boy Meets World. Because it pretty much was a sitcom. So Friends, Boy Meets World, Seinfeld, Frasier. I know that extended into the 2000s, but it still counts. And I feel like Becker was in the 2000s. Do you guys remember Becker, the show where Ted Danson was a doctor, like a cranky doctor? That was a good show. I don't know if I have more than that, but I feel like Becker was in the like I said, I feel like that was in the How I Met Your Mother started in 2005, JB3. Otherwise, it would be included. How I Met Your Mother was. Yeah, it was definitely a good show till the very end. That series finale. Travis Fame and I sat on the phone for an hour talking about how terrible that series finale was. It was just so bad. What's another good series from the 90s sitcoms? Seinfeld, Friends, Boy Meets World. Again, I feel like Becker might have been the 90s. I have to look now. TV show Becker. If that counts, I'm going to say it because I really enjoyed that show. Might have to go back and watch it, but I don't think it's streaming anywhere else unless it's on like Paramount Plus or something. November 2nd, 1998. Okay, it counts. It happened in the 90s. There you go. Would your in-ring name be called The Gambler or Showtime? Showtime is a long ago inside joke with my indie experience because there was a guy who nicknamed himself Showtime. And oh boy. he was something. I don't want to bury too many people, but yeah, he was definitely something. And the Gambler, I feel like, I mean, I guess you could do like an evil, like Vegas guy, like better than Vinny Vegas, as a character. Because I don't think The Godfather counts when he randomly turned heel in 2002. All right. I'm going to sing a song by a group called Shinedown. I'm sure you've heard of them. And this song is called when I'm like, or listen to when I'm, uh, it's normally a song I listened to when I was like depressed or something, but I'm not depressed. I'm actually, you better load. Otherwise, I'll have to pull it up on my phone, and I don't want to do that. Sean Garner, I'll get to your question after I sing the song, as long as it loads up. Can be very awkward if it doesn't. My internet has been running ridiculously slow today. Sean, I'm going to answer your question while this is loading because it's taken for freaking ever. Do you think Liv Morgan would get a successful cash in if she won? I would hope so. I would hope, especially in Liv's case, if excuse me, in Liv's case, I would hope that she would hold on to the briefcase for a while and get that payoff at like a big moment. So I would hope it wouldn't be one and done just to get her the title. I don't like the like, hey, I'm gonna take it. Like, no, like let the moment build. Hey, when you gonna cash in? Because when you cash in immediately like that, it kind of kills the mystique of the Money in the Bank a little bit. All right. Looks like the song is loading or loaded. So here's 45 by Shinedown. Send away for a priceless gift. One not subtle, one not on the list. Send away for a perfect world. One not simply so absurd. In these times of doing what you're told, keep these feelings no one knows. Whatever happened to the young man's heart? Swallowed by pain as he slowly fell apart, staring down the barrel of a 45, swimming through the ashes of another life. No real reason to accept the way things have changed, staring down the barrel of a 45. That is way too high for me. Why did I pick this song? Ugh. Send a message to the unborn child. Keep your eyes open for a while. In a box high up on the shelf, left for you, no one else. There's a piece of a puzzle known as life, wrapped in guilt, sealed up tight. Whatever happened to the young man's heart? What is wrong with me tonight? Swallowed by pain as he slowly fell apart, and I'm staring down. Oh man! All right, I tried. I smell something smoking, so give me 1 second. I'm going to play this little clip for you while I figure out what the hell that smell is. You guys get to watch. Do I have anything loaded? Probably not the Jack of all trades one. Look, changing colors. All right. Watch the Jack of all trades intro, and I will be right back. All right. StreamYard is acting up. So, anyway, thank you guys very much for tuning into the Greg Cherry Show. Hopefully next week won't be as much of a cluster. What was smoking? I don't know. It must be outside because I went downstairs and I didn't smell it, but I certainly do up here. And I don't see anything out that way. And I don't think hopefully nothing's on fire in this house, but if there's anything wrong, I'll let you know. But thank you very much for joining me. Tune in tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern, for the next episode of Jack of All Trades, featuring Adam Pearson, featuring Andrew Hayes, featuring K-Zone, and featuring Mike Janela. What a great episode that is. So tune into that tomorrow. Please go subscribe if you haven't already to the Greg Cherry brand. Tell everybody, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Tell them I sing incredibly badly when I don't have enough water. And I will see you guys next time. Please go enjoy Dynamite tonight. And please tell everybody that you're watching this week, next week, and every week, except for August 11th, because I'll be at Dynamite, that you're watching the Greg Cherry Show. Have a good one.